Hello and welcome to Financial Insight. This is Clarence Chongo. I'm sitting here with a stalwart in engineering. His name is Engineer Teddy Chungu, and he's an expert in energy, especially energy design solutions. And we're talking today about the importance of diversifying Zambia's energy mix. Engineer Teddy Chungu, welcome to Financial Insight.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Indeed, indeed. So let's first of all start off by just encapsulating the issue that brings us to this discussion topic. If you can just articulate what's happening in Zambia and how we got ourselves here.
Well, thanks for that question. What's happening now is, of course, we're going through a very difficult time where we've got what we call load management. Other people would call it load shedding, but people in the energy industry like to call it load management, where we're trying to manage the little energy that we've got to try and meet the demand. But because of the climatic conditions that has prevailed, where we've run short of the available resource to generate enough energy to meet the demand, we've had to manage the load, and hence the term of load shedding, or other people may call it load management. So that's what we're going through now, where we're trying to ration the energy in terms of electricity that we have to try and spread it across our demand sectors.
Absolutely. So one of the key things that has become very starkly obvious is our over-reliance on hydroelectricity power generation. I think by a recent statistic that I saw, we are relying about 83% of power generation in Zambia comes from hydro, with 17% being shared among all the other different sources. So why is it important for Zambia to reduce this reliance on hydro as a single source, and what are the benefits of diversifying this energy mix?
Well, as Zambia, I think we're very lucky that we've got all these water resources as a country, and I think we've got some of we've got the highest number of water resources in Southern Africa, I think, and that's what led primarily to us opting to go with hydro as a source of electricity generation. But over time and climatic conditions and what we've seen of late, little rainfall and all, it's proved that the path that we've taken is something that in the long term, as the climate changes, is not going to help us. So we need to move away from the reliance of the hydro to try and explore other renewable energies or other energy sources, so that we can have security of supply, we can have a balance of where we get our energy from, and we're not overly dependent on hydro.
And what are these other renewable energy sources that Zambia can explore to diversify this mix, and what are the benefits of each, if you like, and the challenges associated with each source?
Well, there's a number of other energy sources that we can work with. We're very lucky in Zambia that we've got sunshine for the most part of the year.
Yeah.
So as a result of that, solar is the number one source of energy that we can explore as Zambia. We can also look at other sources like geothermal, where we can extract the energy or the heat source from the ground. We've got very hot areas in Zambia, particularly in the southern and southwest of Zambia, where we can take advantage of the hot climate. We can take advantage of the hot soil or the sandy soil, which tends to hold a lot of heat or a lot of energy. Indeed. And we can try to extract some of that energy through having geothermal plants or having heat source pumps, where we put coils in the ground and we're able to heat the water, and that is able to supplement some of the energy that we've got. Apart from that, we've got neighbors that have got gas, for example, Mozambique, Tanzania, Angola and Namibia, and we can have these arrangements with them where we can bring this gas on board, and
LPG,
we can use No, I'm talking about natural gas.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because there's a difference between LPG and natural gas.
Okay.
LPG is liquefied petroleum gas, which is a byproduct of the crude oil refinery system, whereas natural gas is mainly methane-based gas, which occurs naturally in the ground.
Okay.
Now, Tanzania, Mozambique, and Namibia and Angola, they have this LPG. And if we're to give an example of Tanzania, for example, they're generating 60% of their electricity from natural gas. So if we had these agreements where we can run pipelines from our neighboring countries into Zambia, we can also use gas as a means of producing electricity. And that can supplement the hydro that we have. And it can also help us in terms of adverse climatic conditions like we're facing now, where if we cannot generate enough from a hydro, we can always generate from gas. We can get some supplement from geothermal. We can get some energy from the sun, solar, which we are pushing a lot right now. But there's also wind, where we can go to the northern part of Zambia around Mpulungu, where we've got high areas where we've got high winds. We've got potential for having wind energy in those areas.
Okay.
Yeah.
And there's obviously also coal and
absolutely we've got coal, which is biomass. Although the whole world is trying to move away from the fossil fuels, coal is one of those. But as well, we've got coal in the southern part of Zambia. We've got Mamba collieries, and I think we can utilize that as well in the interim to try and supplement the hydro generation capacity. Okay,
so you mentioned there that the world is trying to move away from the use of fossil fuels, but I can imagine that in the transitionary period that where Zambia is now, fossil fuels might play a role while we transition to more renewable resources. So while exploring renewable energy sources, what role in general do you think that fossil fuels could play in the energy mix, and how can the environmental impact of those fossil fuels be mitigated?
Yeah, I mean, exactly. I know I've mentioned, and other people are mentioning, and it's in the energy spectrum that we need to move away from the fossil fuels, from all these energy sources that create greenhouse gases, to more renewable, clean energy sources. But we cannot just jump from where we are now to the renewables.
Correct.
We've got to have this transition in the middle, where we are going to move from one end of the spectrum to the other. And this is where the fossil fuels come in, where the fossil fuels are going to help us in this transition. As we try to move with the technology of the new energies, we still hold on to the old to try and help us industrialize, so to say. Because we're not industrialized as a country. So we can't just dump things and jump on the new technology, which we don't have. We've got to have the resource, we've got to have the mechanism, and we've got to have the skill set. Now, as we're developing the resource and the skill set, we can still use those traditional fossil fuels as a transition as we move into the renewables.
Indeed. So how can diversifying Zambia's energy mix contribute to the country's energy security? And what are the economic strategies and strategic benefits of achieving energy security for Zambia?
I mean, when you look at it, or you look at the current scenario, like you said, where we're relying on one form of energy, if there's a problem in that form, as we have with hydro now, it means everything comes to a standstill, or pretty much to a standstill.
Shut down the economy.
We shut down the economy, we shut down manufacturing, we shut down industry. But if we've got a diversity of energy sources, if we've got an impact on one sector, you've got the others which will come in and supplement the other, and they'll balance that up. I mean, we could even drop it down to a household level. I mean, if you're in a house and all your appliances in the house are powered by electricity, the day you've got what we call load management or load shedding, then it means you can't do anything. But if in your house, at a household level, for example, you've got gas for your cooking, you've got solar for your lighting, and then your normal grid electricity is just powering your fridge and all. Even if you've got the load shedding, you can still survive, because you can still cook, you can still do your heating, you can still have the lighting. So we can take that on a bigger scale. It would apply as well to a country like Zambia, to manufacturing as well. If today hydro is not giving us the required demand or the required load, we can look to coal, we can look to solar, we can also look to gas to come and supplement or fill in the gap. So those are some of the benefits. It will keep our economy going.
Okay. So how can this diversification process, how can the energy mix that then results impact on energy costs and tariffs maybe for consumers and businesses in Zambia, and what measures can be taken to ensure affordability?
In terms of the impact on energy costs, I mean, if we spread our energy mix, you've got spectrum of low energy producing sources and high energy producing sources. So if you spread or diversify, you are likely to come up to a good average, which will be lower than the highest the highest cost. So you've got the ability of finding some energy savings. Hence, the overall energy costs will be reduced, and that will help, businesses. It will help the economy as well if we've reduced the average energy cost.
Indeed. And let's now swing to technology. What role do you think it has to play, and what role does innovation come into play in facilitating this diversification, and what incentives or policies can be implemented to encourage technological advancement in the energy sector?
Earlier on, I talked about just geothermal energy, and I talked about ground source heat pumps. All that is some of the new technologies which we don't have as at the moment. So these are some of the new technologies that we can adopt that can help us generate electricity using other means. So technology advancement plays a key role in that diversification, in that we can explore areas that we've not looked at before, and that can help us to produce more energy and reduce the reliance on the hydro. But also we need the right policies and the backing from the powers that be to put in place the right to put in place the right incentives as well, so that attract this technology into the country, and that will help us diversify our energy portfolio.
Okay, so talking, maybe just zooming in about the policy framework, do we have a comprehensive policy that supports this, or could support this drive towards diversification? And if not, what do you think are the key components of what optimal and effective policy should be?
Well, to be honest, I'm not very sure if we have a comprehensive energy policy. Perhaps our colleagues, the policymakers in the Ministry of Energy, can shed a bit more light on that as and when you can have them.
Yes.
But from my experience and from a personal point of view, I think we should have policies that encourage open access. By open access, I mean they encourage other players to come into the market, to build power stations independently, and to be able perhaps to talk directly to the customers, instead of having a policy where if I build a power station, I have to go through the main national grid carrier for me to be able to sell energy to you. Like we have models that are in East Africa, Tanzania, for example, where we've got industry being able to negotiate directly with an off-taker, and they're able to build a power station and supply the energy directly to off-taker, and whatever reserves, whatever excess they generate, they're able to feed back in the grid. So if we had policies that allow that kind of setup, then we're going to see a lot of players wanting to come into the energy sector, because they'll know that they've got access to the market directly. They can negotiate, they can generate their own power, and whatever accesses we get will be beneficial to the country because they'll be feeding back into the grid.
So a policy framework that creates an enabling environment,
for players to come in, independent players to be free to come in and to be free to sort of generate power, and also to perhaps not necessarily dictate the pricing, but to be able to negotiate their own fair prices, which reflect their cost of generating the power.
Absolutely. So how what about the role that public-private partnerships can play? How can PPPs contribute to this diversification, and what incentives or framework can be established to encourage PPPs to come in and play a role?
Well, like I've just explained in my last statement that not everything can be done by the national grid carrier or the main energy producers, ESCO in this case. So where there's gaps, we should be able to allow independent players to come in and produce this power. And these independent players can come in on a PPP basis, but they should have that enabling environment where they feel that they are going to get benefits for what they invest. So what we're looking for is an enabling environment where an independent producer will feel if they invest in the power sector in Zambia, they will get a cost-reflective benefit of for their investment. And of course, they want to make a profit.
Of course,
yeah.
Of course. So just to explain to viewers out there, when we talk about PPP or public-private partnerships, we are talking about the private sector going into partnership or making deals with government entities or parastatals like ZESCO. Okay, so moving on now to perhaps the role of entities or bodies like the Southern African Power Pool. How can regional cooperation and integration initiatives such as the Southern Africa Power Pool or SAPP, how can they support Zambia's efforts to diversify its energy mix?
Well, Zambia is what other people call a land-linked country. Therefore, we cannot operate in isolation. We are linked to our neighbors and other neighbors further on. And by that, I find that it's imperative that we have all these links and interconnections where we can share the challenges and the benefits of producing electricity or energy, you know, in the energy sector.
Yeah.
I talked about our neighbors having other forms of energy like natural gas to produce electricity. So if we had all these agreements, it would enable us to have access to other sources of energy, for example, natural gas. We could have pipelines running from Namibia into Zambia, pipelines from Tanzania into Zambia, and that would help us to set up power producing plants from natural gas, for example. But also the interconnectors would help in us sort of having the energy balance or sharing the power that we generate. In case we had excess power, it would help us to export the excess power. And where we're struggling, it would help us to import other excess power which our friends might have produced.
Yeah, because I think currently, I heard or read somewhere that we are unable to import power from Tanzania, for example, where they have excess, because there's no interconnection between Tanzania and Zambia. So
absolutely, that's very true. Right now, we don't have an interconnector from the Eastern Power Pool into Zambia, but I know that's something that is in the pipeline. There's people that are working on that, hopefully to have an interconnector. And had we had that, you know, Tanzania has got excess power. We would have been,
so we wouldn't be suffering as much as we
probably
are
not
right now. Okay.
Probably not. And
how can this regional cooperation and integration, or maybe let me rephrase that. Where do you see this going? You know, are there deals that we see already being made? You've just mentioned that there's some activity that might happen around Tanzania, but we are surrounded by 8 countries. You know, are there other deals?
Yeah, I mean, to the best of my knowledge, I know there's deals going on with Tanzania on bringing a pipeline of natural gas into Zambia, which might help us set up some gas power plants. There's deals with Angola, MOUs that were signed, I believe, to bring some oil pipeline into Zambia, as well as deals with Namibia. So if all these deals came into fruition, it would help boost the energy sector, and that would help us sort of stabilize and give us some energy security for the future.
Okay. So clearly, Zambia, considering where we are now and how this economy is suffering, needs a comprehensive strategy. So what should be the key components of a long-term energy strategy for Zambia that prioritizes the diversification of the energy mix and ensures a sustainable and secure energy future for the country?
I think long term we should look at moving away from over the reliance on the hydro. Let us look at all these other power generating sources that we can work with. Let us look to our neighbors as well to see what they have done that we can learn from them, and let us sort of actualize some of these cooperations that we have with our neighbors that will enable us explore areas that will further help us generate more power and give us the security that we need.
On that very positive note, I would like to thank you, Engineer Teddy Chungu, for being with us here on the Financial Insight Show.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a pleasure talking to Engineer Teddy Chungu. You've heard for yourself how this need not end with the negative phase that we are in. There are solutions that we can implement. This is Financial Insight. I've been Clarence Chongo. Thank you very much for watching, and get to know.